I should rename this the bathtub stream because it looks like it might be a wash. Frio. And oh no. Might be a 3-0. Anatan leading by 2. HRE up against Chinese. A matchup that seems to be going both ways, but I have a feeling like executed at the absolute upper level, HRE can have a notable edge here. And with these two in the arena, there's a slight difference to imagine that could come out. These are two of the players that will use Mind Work the most. Usually with HRE, the feudal landmark choice is very linear because better resources equal good. With these two, Mind Work comes into the picture quite often. Interesting as well. So we are being on Dry Arabia. Reminder, if B can win this game, we are guaranteed a draft reset, right? Because remember, after game 4, we do a best of 3 draft. So there's some hope at that point. But if this Civ cannot deliver for him, what can for B? There's only one Civ left, I imagine, that could give him hope, and that would be his Japanese, which he's unbeaten on so far. But China should be your king. Like, this is the most banned Civ. This is the most popular Civ to try and remove from the equation because it's seen as the most potent Civ right now. Why redraft after 4 games? It's because, for a start, due to like Civ limitation count, because we have a banning phase, realistically, like if you're going to go 7 games anyway, you're going to have a redraft at some point. But the other reason as well is we'd like to keep the diversity element towards how you approach the game. And what I mean by that is in the early days of Age of Empires 4, when we had people starting to, develop these tournaments, what we realized is as things kind of got deeper in the rounds, you'd have hype, really tight, cool games back and forth early on. But then if a player drafted well, the game was essentially over by game like 4, out of a best of 7, even if the score was 2-2, because the other player was outdrafted. And you can argue that, oh, well, that's an issue, KP. They should not get outdrafted. I agreed. But if you look at most competitive sports, even if you get outdrafted, you get opportunities to reset that draft, right? So like Dota 2, a pristine example I'm going to bring up because I am a professional Dota 2 commentator. I was doing it for years. If you completely screw up in your draft game 1, unless you're in a BO1, you have an opportunity to reset, right? You have game 2, maybe even game 3. But in Age of Empires 4, if you allow every draft, especially in longer series, to be no reset redraft, what you create is a dynamic where you've almost just crowned a king based on potentially one mistake. Now, admittedly, it's one thing to draft and outdraft your opponent. It's another to then leverage and execute that draft correctly. But the whole point was that we were just seeing very sour outcomes at the end. It also meant that at the highest level, if you built a 2-0 lead, I'd love for someone to pull statistics on this, but I feel like it was a 90% chance you'd won in the best of 7. Because what would happen is in game 3, your opponent knew you had to use your strongest Civ. And what they would do is, in some cases, they would intentionally throw away a trash Civ. So the clearest example I can think of this in my mind was Vortex versus Marine Lord in an early game of Mongolian Heights, an early tournament where Mongols was OP. He forced Vortex to use Mongols, and Marine Lord used the worst Civ in the game at the time, which was the Abbasids. He tossed it away, and it completely ruined any recovery arc for Vortex. The rest of the games were kind of just known at that stage. So, deep kind of explanation, but hopefully that gives some insights. We didn't have much to focus on here because it wasn't the Dark Age Spearman spam. Instead, we had them both going up to Age 2, and they are now going to be playing for the deer. Both of them. Of course, B is going to be a bit quicker, courtesy of the supervision. Redraft reduces diversity of played civs instead of improving it. It may reduce the diversity of played civs, but what it does is improves the opportunity to recover your game. Do you want to know what makes esports great? It isn't perfection. It's learning and evolving through mistakes. It's the same reason why everyone wants an underdog story. If you decide everything in a linear fashion of like the draft at the start just decides everything, you actually dilute the value of the experience, in my opinion. The reason why I say Dota is one of the greatest games ever created to watch competitively is the comebacks is insane. Like, you can see ways for players, even when they're like X thousand down. It's insane, right? And why it's important to have the redrafts even more in an RTS is, although you have all these branching choices, you're in a 1v1, so compared to like a team game where you're relying on everyone getting the strategy right, there's more under your control. So I always say like 1v1s historically in esports scenes have played more from a position of executing perfectly rather than a position of making least mistakes. Does that make sense? What I like about AoE4 is I think it has a nice approach where you can go the other way occasionally. But this is why I've always said that team games do better at scale than, 1v1 esports. It's more expensive to participate, sure, like from teams and orgs or whatever. But where it really gets you is like the intradynamics. It's not just the players playing the game. It's not just the players playing their opponent. It's the players playing their team as well. What's up, Kakachi? Shout out to Kakachi. I have not seen that name in quite a while. That man used to watch me years and years ago with his big Swiss bank account, giving me challenges on streams. Back when I was like a 5 to 10 streamer Andy. In fact, I'm pretty sure he first watched me when I played Total War Warhammer 1. Yeah, I streamed that many years ago. So, B. How are we looking right now? We've gone for the Archer play. Follow-up makes a lot of sense into HRE. This also generates a lot of gold taxation via the Imperial Academy. Because remember, when you produce units out of these buildings, you are going to generate some gold tax, which your Imperial officials can then pick up. These guys full-on cook the book. Not only do they give you 20% more of a limited resource, they manage to bleed so much gold out of their poor peasants. It's a surprise that they can afford the axes they wield on the lumber line. Man, talk about a nice spawn for Anatan to snatch the deer safely. Is this just going to be a 50-50 split? It looks like Anno is trying to play blocker, but this is a little bit too late with B going archers. He should be able to knee-jerk react, and we'll be looking at a 50-50 split on the deer. And that's bad for HRE, by the way. Because remember, HRE is going to eat through those deer 40% quicker via the inspiration buff. What that means, though, is that the food is gone 40% quicker at the end of the day. For China, the supervision gives you 20% more out of nowhere, right? Like, what this taxman has done is he's looked at this deer, he's gone, yes, yeah. Oh, sorry, let me get in the view for you. Yes, yes. That is not 350 food. That looks like 420 food. And everyone in the kingdom has gone, yep, that sounds about right. You'd think all the units in this kingdom would grow up to be malnourished because they're not actually receiving the amount of food they should. But we don't question it too deeply. It just works. You watched me when I was still young and sexy. Ah, yes. Time has been cruel to me. I grew a beard to hide my fatness. And then I cast 8 hours a day because... I don't know if you guys know this. It's kind of crazy. Maybe it's just me because I'm a little bit too energetic. Casting is a very good way of burning calories. So, tech up's coming pretty much mirrored here. Yes, Anatan started sooner, but the reason he's going to catch up isn't because he's got 2 more workers on it, as much as it is the fact that China just builds quicker. So they're neck and neck for this, but the cool thing that B can now do, and he should be rushing the taxation for it, is drop a monastery and supervise to get his monks out super fast. Anno has the correct read here. He's prepping prelates before the age up, as you can out of the TC, so he's in position to pick relics up straight away. In fact, where... Oh, wait, no, what? Anno didn't move the prelates. This is awkward. Well, we've got Archer Blocker on the west side. That's going to slow him down. I know, this is a relic race right now. He needs to get a move on. First prelate is heading out into the center now. We do have knights getting queued up. B should be looking at supervision on there. So yeah, lancers are going to be coming out every 14 seconds, which is insane. Why Clock Tower? Against HRE, it keeps them off of crossbows, right? So you can kind of play Lancer. I don't think HRE is favored if you get into a Knight spam here because you can't keep up on the count. So you're more likely to go towards things like spears or crossbows. So knobs can have value. I also think in some ways, like, although people started off being obsessed with the Imperial Palace build, the Pro Scouts meta has kind of made it better to play Clock Tower again, if you think about it. Because unless you're really careless with your scouts, you should have several of them. So even without the Imperial Palace taking all the vision, you have a landmark choice, you still have all the vision from your scouts, which we're seeing here. Okay, good initial clashes here. B definitely has military edge. We don't have monks though. Like, this has come at a sacrifice, right? He built the monastery, He doesn't have any religious boys coming out yet. So that does mean that Anatan, although he's weaker on army, he gets a lot more opportunities to punt in the meantime. The punting's paying off. First relic is home. Second one's at least going to be guarded. The third one on the left should just be easily attainable. We do have additional prelates on the way. A little bit careless there. Anatan not paying attention. All right, ones if you think B is going to take this. Twos if you think it's Anno all the way. Speaking of Annos, what do you guys think? Should we be checking out the new Anno when it comes out? I don't know if they put a release date on that. I do love the Roman period. One of my favorite strategy games as a kid was Caesar 3. I actually had a lot of favorite strategy games. That was one of them. Quite a lot of twos. Wow. People just don't want to give up believing in Anatan. He has got that crossbow transition we talked about. But remember, the more he does this, the better Nestabes look. That raid on the backside. Ooh, chip damage is adding up. It's now a free villager lead for Anatan. He doesn't have the farms, though, remember. We haven't got that transition yet. He's actually just shoved out onto the berries instead. Why even make archers? Aren't you going to do better? You can do better, but they're going to cost you, remember? To get into Zhug, you have to spend an extra 600 resources. You didn't want to do that. And switching into Zhug and Castle Age, especially when you have to pay an extra 600 resources, feels a bit weird. Anno's so good. Yeah, I need to revisit Anno 1800. I played a lot of it when it first came out and then never bothered with any of the DLC. I still remember having... Was it Anno 1400? I think my first Anno was 14... Not 1400. I think it was 1404? Yeah, Anno 1404 was the first one I played. Yo, anyone big fan of... What was it? Emperor... Was it Rise of the Middle Kingdom? I think that was actually my favorite Sierra game. I love Caesar, but Emperor Rise of the Middle Kingdom was just a little bit cleaner. Now, of course, this doesn't take away from the fact that the GOAT of strategy games is still Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Damn! I don't know, I feel like strategy fans these days are missing out a little bit. If it wasn't for like Total War Warhammer, at least the early ones, and then like the Paradox Studios, and of course, Age of Empires 4, like what would you really have these days, you know? I know. Oh, looks like B's got a little bit scared here. He tried to switch infantry. He's a bit pinned. Now, he has taken relics away. This should actually end up being a 3-2 split in favor of B. If he can sneak it. But, oh, he gets seen. Warlord's going to be coming out, but B needs to move the army. The risk is if you do that, the second wave of Lancers could be coming in behind you. We can see with God Vision there isn't a second wave, but from B's POV, he's blind on that west side. Total War Shogun 2 was fantastic. Yeah, but I'm talking like old... guys, I'm talking like early 2000s. You know, like Cossacks, the best Command & Conquers like Red Alert 2, Empire's Earth. Yep. They also had that follow-up one that wasn't as good. Can't remember the name of it. Played it though. All the same. The Heroes of Might and Magic games. Total Annihilation. Warcraft. Oh, the list goes on. Empire's Dawn of the Modern World. That was the one. Yeah, a little bit of a flop. Rise of Nations. Honestly, you know what? I'm going to say it. I think Rise of Nations 2 gets a bit too much flack. Very different game, but pretty decent. That was the one where you had Da Vinci as a civ. Oh, no Da Vinci here. The closest we can do to art is having that Lancer basically paint with the entrails of the prelate. That relic is... Well, let's just say we're seeing more wars over that religious relic than you'd see in the Middle East over a certain city. It looks like, in the end, though, China will be number one. Anatan's going to have to hunker down. We do at least have walls coming in. Farm transition is underway. This is a steady pacing when you play as HRE, whereas for China, it's a rush. But here's the thing. He never got Song. So he doesn't have Granaries. Granaries are a big deal, guys. They give you the better gathering rate on your farms. Much bigger, but definitely worth it. Empire Tunnel is in the works. I haven't heard of that one. I'll have to look at it. And yes, Rise of Nations 2 is called Rise of Nations, Rise of Legends. So instead of it being the historical thing that Rise of Nations was, and I think that's why it done bad. Like, I've talked before about games that just shouldn't be the IP name. I think that was one of them. Rise of Legends as its own game was decent. It's just everyone expects historical, you know, play through the ages games. And this was sci-fi / fantasy, where you had like these sand people that were like crystallic, and you had the Da Vinci people that were like clockwork creatures. Still a good game though. I don't think you can get it anywhere online. If I remember correctly, you might only be able to get it by disc copy. Oh, reminds me of another one. Remember, guys, Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle-earth. Another game that's kept its value, actually. No, GOG won't have it. So, a little bit of insight, like some of these games have huge issues due to licensing problems. So, for example, that's why you can't get Simpsons Hit and Run, right? They never allowed remastering it per se. So, like, because I can tell you, if EA could, they would happily remaster all these games, like Lord of the Rings games, for example. But because they never renewed the agreements with, like, the Tolkien family, that's why, for example, Battle for Middle-earth doesn't have, you know, an online copy. Same reason we don't get to see good old Lord of the Rings Conquest. Anyone? Any Battlefront fans? If you're a Battlefront fan and didn't know about that game, you may have missed out. It wasn't as good as Battlefront, but it was basically Battlefront in Lord of the Rings. Did I play Warhammer Dawn of War? Yep, Dawn of War is one of my all-time greats. Dawn of War 1, that is. It's fantastic to this day. I love that game. All right, knocking on the door here. Had a little bit of stagnation while they're stockpiling up. B already posturing aggressively, though, and we have the triple ram coming in. Spoon placement is going to be big here, though, especially with the extra damage and e-repairs. He's going to have to trigger it. B's army definitely a lot bigger, but a bit deceptive, right? In this fight, they're actually close on military firepower because B needs to get the second wave here. They are taking some time to arrive, but clash commences anyway. The outpost just doesn't feel like it's going down quick enough here. I think B misread his timing. He really needed the nest of bees to protect this. The horsemen now going to start to be able to break out. Rams being targeted. Villagers will be needed for the repairs. And the Rams are going to fail to breach. So B going from double military strength. It's only 10 ahead here. This is worrisome. I know he does have enough farms to keep pumping horsemen ad infinitum. The crossbows are going to have to back away. Yeah, B, it's kind of tricky, right? Like, from this POV, I think what you needed was Palace Guard. Frontline of Palace Guard makes a lot of sense against horseman archers. Instead, you kind of gave the ideal fight over to Anatan to defend. Archers with the spears, and then horsemen to reign supreme against crossbows. Aliens versus Predators Extinction? Ooh, I don't think I played that one. Wait, is that the one I think? No, I never played that one. The AVP that I did play that was underrated as all hell was the asymmetrical freeway deathmatch game. Do you guys remember that one on like PS3? So I still to this day don't know how I done it, but I'm gonna just brag and say the sickest alien player you've ever seen. I don't know how I didn't get motion sickness and confused jumping wall to wall, but I was a psychopath when I was playing as those alien scum. Star Wars Empires at War? Absolute classic. How about Galactic Battlegrounds? We're on an Age of Empires game. If you guys have not played Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, you've missed out. Imagine Age of Empires 2 in Star Wars. And it's kind of crazy, actually. Like, despite the fact B wasn't able to break in, he does still have decent map control, right? Sacred Sites on lock. I still can't get him with his farm, man. He's legit. Is he going Imperial Age? Oh my god, we're taking a trip down memory lane, and this guy is trying to create new memories. Great Wall Gatehouse on the west side. This plan doesn't work if you lose the Sacred Sites, right? I am baffled, man. 8 farm Chinese Imperial. When do you ever see... Oh, dude. This guy is just full of so many wild strategies. Okay, so he did see it in time. Does block the horseman from decapping. And now he sees it. He's like, wait, we've been fighting for like the last 5 minutes. How have you got the farms to afford this? And then he rides in the back. He's like, all right, time to punish those farmers. Until all of a sudden he pauses and goes, wait. That's it? That's your grand farm plan. 8 farms for Imperial Age. Unbelievable. Look at that. Anatan has idled out 100% of B's Imperial Age farm economy. Yeah, for those new to AoE 4, usually when someone's in Imperial Age, you're probably expecting like 25, 30 farms at least, especially for China. Then you scale up to 45, 50, sometimes 60. Right, like Anatan over here is in 3rd Age, and he has 29 farms already. He's wild, man. Like, 21 minutes in Imperial Age, no Song Dynasty, so no granaries, which are what you need to make farms efficient. He's playing limited resources on the berries. He has secured an 8k gold, but, I mean, you've already decapped the Sacred Site. I'm not sure how B's meant to win this from this position. It's a long road, for sure. It's not going to be a quick victory. By the way, chat, do you know what's really... Like, we talked earlier today about, like, what RTSs really need is good campaigns. You know what's missing from practically every RTS's attempt at campaigns? I feel like it's good character building. Anyone else been feeling that recently? Of, like, the RTSs coming out these days? They don't make you give a crap about a player. There's no Ufa Lightbringer story building, you know? If someone knows of a game that does that well, please direct me to it. I still can't believe it. Like, surely this has to be mass mech build. Warcraft 3's whole purpose was set the stage for WoW. I mean, you say that. You are aware. I don't know, actually. I don't know if Voldemar is. He's a little kiddie. Voldemar, one of our pro players, by the way, still in diapers. You know why Warcraft was created, right? This will be a test. Just like this game is a test of B's limits. Yeah, I think he's too young to know, guys. So, Warcraft 3... Warcraft in general, Warcraft 1, it wasn't even to counter Warhammer per se. Originally, it was going to be a Warhammer game. But then they had disagreements over the licensing rights because they wanted to own the IP, and Warhammer was like, hell no. So they just middle fingered and like, okay, we'll just go make our own games. So StarCraft, Warcraft, that's where the crafts came from. Like, if it wasn't for them making that choice, basically they would have just been Total War Warhammer games. I'm not total, sorry, Warhammer and Warhammer 40k games. So yeah, they developed the whole world from that. I'm glad they did. I still think 40k is incredible. 40k is like the best sci-fi world ever created. Sorry, Star Trek and Star Wars fans. Sorry, StarCraft fans. So, we finally have Barbican at 24 minutes in. 2 TC as well, because he had to, right? Like, his opponent went Song. His opponent went Pal Suavia, rather. So remember, this is 3 TCs in 1. So his opponent has 4 town centers of production. Like, B has to make this transition. But it's not a good position right now, guys. We have breakthroughs on the tree line. We have horsemen flooding in. Mass infantry behind this. I mean, I know he's going to take a chill pill for the time being. Sacred sites are still there, trickling gold for B. This is the area that he's competing in. Like, gold is good. Food is traumatic to look at. Yo, you know what is an experience, by the way, guys? Command & Conquer 1 on a PS1. How many people knew that was a thing? I'm kind of curious. Like, I played that so much as a kid, and the amount of people go, that game wasn't on PlayStation 1. I'm like, it was. It damn well was. I can still hear the Wilhelm screams. Like, what was that? Ah! I'm not going to try and do it. To do it properly, I'd probably ruin people's ears. That sounded more like a parrot doing a Wilhelm scream. We finally have a granary to go alongside those tiny farms. Oi, mass spears into the keep. Well, there's no boiling oil. There's no quick wipe. Backstab coming in from B, though. Horseman need to jump the cannon more than anything, but he's wiring around on this. Bringing in roses. The veterans he's about to turn into elites. The spearmen can basically carry this fight on their own. And there it is. The big trigger. B has to leave. That means he's going to lose control of the 8K veins and the sacred site, surely. I mean, he's trying to switch hand cannoneers. Pyrotechnics, hand cannoneers. China's best at this, right? It's scaling it that's always difficult, though. Also, big shout out for that comment. Why does KP have 3K watching? What's going on? I know, right? I can't believe 10 people want to listen and tolerate me, let alone 3,000 people. We've got to get you guys better pastimes. Nah, hang around. Grab a brew. Come here every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We got you covered. This is your weekday spot. I honestly think games like this prove why you should show up. I mean, anyone who knows Age of Empires 4 inside out is looking at this game right now, scratching their head as to how B's even in it, how B reached Imperialize, how he done any of this. I mean, the good news for him is he's so far forward on the map, this isn't just GG the game. The bad news is it might GG it in 5 minutes. Anatan has got a substantial eco lead. He's now got gold access. B in theory with mass hand cannoneers is Gucci here. Dolce and Gabbana, but the reality check is he's kind of widespread, right? You know, you need the gold, but you also need your farm safe. That could lead to a bit of exposure here, especially with Anno spamming horsemen. StarCraft 64% experience? Okay, I didn't experience that. For StarCraft, and you know, this is actually breaks my heart nowadays. And yeah, I guess I'm getting old. The amount of kids who don't know what Banjo-Kazooie is breaks my heart. They know about like Mario 64, right? Mario 64 also good, but that's because it's always been around. The amount of people who don't know about Banjo-Kazooie. Or Nintendo 64's Donkey Kong 64. Oh, come on. Banjo was the goated one, though. Smash Bros 64 is still my favorite Smash Bros as well. What's that? See, what? This is what Banjo-Kazooie, look it up. You won't regret it. I don't know, like, you can probably get like some sort of ROM of it to play it. Wholly recommend it. One of the greatest platform games ever created. And no, he wasn't in Smash. Fox was. That was my main. Archer's diving in. I mean, the hand cannoneers should be favored in this fight. Surely. But you see what Anno's doing? He's intentionally griefing it. He's just taking them all out. Because he understands that B has a limited run on this with only the 8K vein over here. In fairness, it should be a long run, but trading archers for hand cannoneers is always a winning play. And on top of that, he's getting on the farms. You would not think that B is playing Chinese right now at 29 minutes in. He's at 80 economy compared to 124. This is not okay. Keep drops now coming in of his own. Sacred Site's also getting locked in for additional gold trickle. And we do have biology on the way. Now, for B, I don't think we have a university, let alone Tech Savant, no? At least I didn't glance one earlier. Okay, so he does have a university. Has he taken anything? Am I imagining it, or has he taken 0 techs? I mean, he hasn't got any upgrades on his army at all, right? No incendiary, no powder for the gunpowder units. Nothing. It's pretty brutal. Oh, that's true. Yeah, he has got chemistry for free, right? Wait, no. Yeah, he's got chem for free, but that's, like, remember, it's different. It doesn't affect his hand cannons. Got changed a while ago. Flash coming in. Looks like he's going to try to target the Culverins. Well played. B. Will he stop his opponent from brute forcing into the base? It feels like what we're seeing is the flailing is of a dying man, right? Like, we haven't seen him make a move in the last few minutes. It's been like, wow, GG. That's really slowed the game down and gotten something out of it. You could argue he's slowing the game down, but he's not getting anything beneficial out of these players currently. Should be taking his unique upgrades for the villager drop-off. Yeah, I mean, he's going to get at least the 4% from being a song, right? But usually ancient techniques was a lot better by being a Yuan. He's still missing Yuan. When was I born? 93. Would you also like my mother's maiden name and my favorite color? He drops on the east. Wow, so he's just trying to wood starve him as well. And yes, you can put a cannon on the Barbican. You can upgrade it with everything, by the way. Social duties. No, stop. Yeah, so 69, 69, 69. 420Y. There you go. That's my social. Horseman in again. Okay, how many times are we going to go through this before he's just dead? I feel like we've been here before. Shivs are out, so it looks like he would better protect himself, but behind this, we're seeing more permanent gains. Anatan is creeping his way across Dry Arabia, like the Germans across Europe at the start of World War II. Like, it's very reminiscent of that type of dominant role here. A little bit different, right? He's not getting the immediate surrender and taking everything over, but he's getting gains after gains after gains. Hand cannons of his own now coming in. And the problem is B's are better, but like, Anno just has so many more to queue up, right? So B has to be very careful. He's got a fragile state. He can't afford to lose any. Not with his gold income being about to plummet, right? Down to 1.7k. Meanwhile, look at Anno. 2.3 here, another 4k over here. 4k. Actually, I guess B could force more gold. The problem simply is raw villager count. He can't afford to put more in there. Knock his door. You know, I'm kind of sitting here thinking, would it be interesting to see, like, Age of Empires mechanics skinned into a Warhammer game now? This is what that talk about Galactic Battlegrounds has got me thinking now. I'm a sucker for Warhammer. I'll always take more games. Ankan is... Oh, no. He's wasting time on the Horseman. Is Anno intentionally firing on the right units here? He's got to start backing up. Now, he does have the marching drills, remember, so he moves quicker than the enemy gunners. Horseman wasting a lot of time on the wrong units here. He has at least got biology. No elite army tactics, so no buffed up damage to the spears. But he's still not dead yet. Anno just seems to remain ahead on hand cannoniers, though. Becoming a little bit problematic. Anno, I believe he may have just deleted some villagers here. Unless he tried to run into the Great Wall Gatehouse. I mean, in fairness, at this stage, it does feel like he needs a bigger army. He needs more front line. He's basically capped hand cannoniers. You very rarely want to go above about 40 of them. And no, if Relic wants to make a Dawn of War like Dawn of War 1, I'm game. If it's anything like Dawn of War 3, or too much like Dawn of War 2, I'll pass. Some people aren't going to like me saying that about 2, but I think 2 missed the markers. Good for a sculpt, though. Only a few spinmen here. Second wave is coming in. Hey, you want to believe there's a way out of this hole, right? He has fixed his food economy. He's been trading reasonably well on the hand cannoneers. But Anatan, at the end of the day, as we like to say in the Orc ways, it's just too much Daka. B is shrinking the gap a little bit, but he's just brute forcing the line now. I think Anatan realizes what this has turned into. The longer he goes about these slugs like this, the better it gets for his opponent. He needs to find a way of just full-on wedging himself in the fight and guaranteeing B can't back away. Dawn of War 1 is probably the best RTS I remember as a kid. Dude, it's incredible. And you know what I loved about Dawn of War 1? Yeah, this is what I will give a lot of credit to Relic for. Very good at designing games around team. Most of my time was in teams on Dawn of War 1. Admittedly, Company Heroes 2 in particular are way too obsessed with being esports ready. Reminder, by the way, if a game releases and says they're esports ready, run while vomiting. I love esports, but you can't force it. It's like AoE 4, man. Do you guys know that when Age of Empires 4 released, they didn't expect it to be an esport? They were shocked at the popularity. Community built it into what it is. E-repairs coming through. B not able to get through these buildings. And we are seeing it again. Oi, oi, oi. Backstab onto the farms. Let's go slow things down. Remember, B, he still doesn't have population max here, so idle time like this is going to impact his ability to scale and reblob. And Dawn of War 2 was great for last stand mode. Campaign was kind of okay, but Dawn of War 1 peaked gameplay. I did play Dark Crusade. My favorite one was actually Winter Assault. And Red Alert 2 is an all-time great. I don't think any game ever in the strategy sector has managed to take such an almost cringy approach with their storytelling that it was that good. Dive coming in, and this is looking good right now. B, where did the front line go? We actually have him massing bombards. Are we really doing this? Oh, God. He always tries to find a way into siege. It's just not that great against mass horsemen. In a way, it's kind of like your big hand cannoneer, so you can snipe enemy HCs, these boys. I just think you haven't got a front line, enough front line for this. I mean, you have no front line. Dive comes in, Anatan, he senses the weakness. He looks to pounce. This man is on the verge of annihilating what looked like a rising star in midweek musters. Definitely be a no name, but the way he was progressing through these weeklies, he was looking unstoppable. Anatan's return to form. I mean, what a week this has turned into for him. Clean execution all the way through midweek muster. On the verge of potentially winning an S-tier tournament as well in AoE 4. This man looks unstoppable. Not man. This man's at least a demigod. Slay, slay, slay is all he does. And pray, pray, pray is all B can do. His best shot, his best opportunity so far, I'd say his best performance so far. But he'll need to go a step further beyond if he has any chance of coming back in midweek muster 12. Ladies and gents, it's getting out of control here. B, you would not expect to see this. He's 3-0 down. Fox's Anatan apparently has an appointment that he needs to make. He is not wasting any time at all. We head into map number 4, potential final game of this grand finals. French for Anno up against B's Japanese on Wilderness, a map that has got the shoreline fishing, the deep water fish far, far away. An interesting matchup, actually. In some maps, you would definitely favor French here because if the game goes late enough. Japan sucks. They don't have crossbows. However, on a map like this, there is the potency, the potential to end the game swift enough that you could lean Japanese. All comes down to those opening plays, though. Where can Anatan pressure? What damage can he achieve? Because you're expected to be the aggressor here as the French. For Japan, greedy mother duckers always only want one thing. They want to be up in Castle Age, thriving off knights. That takes some effort to reach. And I believe that effort will begin with a Coca Township. Yeah, so interesting choice here. I actually don't mind this. I've talked about this before. Like, the idea of ninjas against knights isn't terrible. You can make it work with micro because when one knight comes in, let's say you have free shinobi, you just tank the charge, Shunshin behind the other two with a blink. and then you swap aggro to kill. Top of that, there is the potential for something like adding in, say, your own horseman. Logic being the horseman tank the knight hits, and then they counter the archer player that you expect French to go for. But even more than that, the crafty thing you can do here is sneaking unnoticed. So remember, the Shinobi, they have a bunch of abilities we'll go over when we get into H2, but you have ways of getting into your opponent's economy unnoticed, unharassed. Is everyone's anticipation for the new feudal changes for Japan? I'm not sure exactly what they're going to go for. One change that I did say would be quite interesting is if you could... If you could basically get an upgrade for farmhouses, you know, your houses which are also mill drop-offs, that would almost be kind of like the Ottoman's Madrissa, where they could spawn a berry bush every X seconds. They have to balance it right so it's not OP. Give us Onagigisha Dark Age? Yeah, that would break the game, Crackety. That legitimately, if you actually think about the possibilities there, that genuinely would break the game. Onagigisha rushes would just be the easiest cheese imaginable. So, Coco about to complete. First Shinobi will get queued up automatically. We do have to play onto the docks. Really smart choice against French. Remember, because French go knights, they have less burn power. Because you have less entities, you have less torches to throw at buildings, which means you don't clear out docks as quickly. Onagigisha could make rams without the research, just Onagishas. I don't know if that's really needed. And also, I'm pretty sure the changes... Did they not mention they want to make the changes economical facing? Right? Y'all are talking aggro here. I think, like, for Japan, the biggest problem is that eco can feel weirdly weak in feudal. Which is surprising because they benefited the most from the recent, like, berry and food changes, right? Like, the berry buff made them a really solid civ for playing on those patches. So, Shinobi. Let's talk about why they get to sneak in. Ano's producing knights. If you use the spy and you disguise yourself as an enemy villager, the A-click moves of the knights won't see you. On top of that, the other thing that's super sick about Shinobi, they're very good at spying. Look at the vision. And then look at this blind goose. Yeah, this duck may have put his helmet on a bit too tight. You don't really see much with knights. So this means that you can kind of just play the evasion game. Sneak by like an unseen ship in the night. Speaking of that knight, it looks like B's going to directly contest it. He pulls back to defend. Smart choice. He hasn't built into an outpost yet. In fact, we're not going to see him do it. We're seeing the Shinobi spam build. I love that we've been seeing players do this more. B has been at the forefront of like innovating this type of builds. After the buffs, I still really maintain Shinobi is one of the most giga-busted units when you leverage it for feudal pressure. It's a very healthy part of the comp. The thing that I think people slept on with Shinobi is it breaks the counter dynamic. The counter dynamic, for those wondering, for those new to the scene, we haven't talked about it so far before because we've had so much to talk about in the games. There is a basic triangle at the core of Age of Empires 4. That core, at least in feudal, is typically archers beat spears, spears beat cavalry, cavalry beats archers. Now, there are things that expand beyond that. You've got the interaction between like men-at-arms and crossbows, but it keeps the same. Typically, it's like archers beat infantry, infantry beat cav, cav beat archers. A historical one that has been beckoned upon many different strategy games across the years. But these things break it entirely. And you'll see it the moment they touch those knights. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. They hit for 25 damage, they heal. So they ruin spears, they ruin horsemen. The only way you can count these absolutely is archers, but the problem you run into is the mobility, the utility of abilities that can disable production buildings, and also the blink to allow them to remaneuver makes them crazily strong. The limitation, why these things aren't seen as broken entirely, is you have to choose a specific landmark, and you can only get 3 a minute. And they're 100 resources each. Judge coming in. Another Shinshin. That's staggered. Okay, we've got more Shinobi on the way. Things are getting a little bit discombobulated, Fanasan, right? I do think that B needs to add in horsemen. This is getting a bit greedy. Oh, no. Okay, so that began looking like a good trade, but then the second wave has just made it very Anatan favored here. I don't like this for B. The only thing that's a positive is this is keeping all attention on land. He has got fishing scaling. But the lack of just, say, of stables and 2 horsemen. Can they not be attackmen in Vil form? They can, but you have to click on them. So you can't just use A clicking, attack clicking with the hotkey. They get ignored by that behavior. So you have to notice them and go for them. Now, that sounds OP and really micro-intensive. The other way you can deal with them is the scout. Scout, outpost, tower, primary TC, these will all reveal the spies. So you can't just run anywhere, per se. They do have limitations, but used well, this is... I think this unit has more utility than any other unit in AoE4, by far. You have to use it well. So B has been stockpiling resources for castle behind this, by the way. Feels like he took really inefficient and expensive fights, though. It's kind of giving a bigger window for Anatan to try and jump through here. And we have got the sneaky dog play. And he's not done there. He's going to move up into the tree line to gather some... Wait, what? Is that a misclick? Why are we... ¿Qué? Nani? That's a very intriguing lumber camp placement. But he's going to eat the crap out of that straggler tree if a wolf doesn't murder him. Oh, no. I'm not questioning the play to keep the villager out here. I'm questioning why the hell we put it here and not here with all the trees. You know what it is? She got so fit and able walking across the map, he doesn't want her to now get lazy. So having to walk back and forth to that lumber camp is going to keep her in good shape. Also, good guy Anatan is thinking about the wildlife. If you place these human structures too close to the forest, it's going to scare the wildlife. What a great guy. I have to be careful, actually, because we have a lot of people who haven't seen Age of Empires 4 before watching. They're like, whoa, this game has, like, wildlife that exists in the tree. No. Calm down. No. We'll meme in a bit. It's a very inefficient lumber camp placement. Why is the French people speaking Spanish? Probably because of the timeline. It's probably sounding partially Spanish because of the intermingling of borders in certain time periods. So for those new to Age of Empires, one really cool innovative thing you'll find is that as you age up, the dialect of your peoples changes. The archers, knights, etc., the villagers in particular, the dialect slightly changes to equate to a new age, a new language, essentially. Archer's diving in. Oh, nice snipe. B, he panicked there. He didn't complete it. That's going to be barely getting the second villager in safely. Flowing Gate is on the way. I know it's going to dive past this. Presumably he's looking for the food gathering, but isn't going to work out. And remember, B is still gathering on the other side, so he's not really that pressured at this play. Guys, we might have the most competitive looking game out of B so far. He has a solid plan. He has a solid timing. Anatan, he's going to try to deal with this. Demo ship play comes in, though. Gets the wipe on the dock. The fishing boats get chased away. Okay, so Anno, now on water is a problem here. This is all developing very subtly in the south side. B, he has to seek the land economy. Now, with this age up, mounted samurai are king here. Anatan needs to bypass into castle now. Starting to save up. We do have Shinobi getting blocked on the backside. Fishing should get shut down. Damn. I mean, I should have seen that. My bad. I'm a bit hungry. We've been live for almost 6 hours. That kind of caught me off guard. I was surprised that scaled that quickly. It seemed very subtle out of Anno. Already has saved his bacon here, right? B, with that type of economy, would have rolled over the map. Now there's a window of op. We do have Mount Samurai plus Onimush to come. This is going to give you the better knights as well as the penetration to kill, right? You basically got mobile crossbowmen as Japanese. Mount Samurai beat French knights pretty easily because of the deflective armor. It stops the French knights from getting a damage buff that they need off of charging. However, you do need enough We're not there yet. Oh, and yeah, fair point. Occitan is quite close to Catalan. I don't know. What's the choice going to be here? Surely not Royal Institute. Guildhall, but then you have to play a survival game, right? Yeah, so Guildhall it is. So his goal is to try and offset the pressure from B. We actually have you. Oh my god, this is such a B-type build. Vortex and Lucifron got really big on doing this as well before Lucifron obviously retired and before Vortex took his break. Especially on 4 lakes, actually. We'd regularly see them do Mad Samurai into Yuumi. The Yuumi, by the way, remember, these are very cheap versions of standard archers. They cost less, they have less firepower, but they're much better for blobbing. I know, now having fishing as well. I wonder if we're going to see B try to sneak back out. He's going for relics. We do have one already home. Second one to be grabbed. Third one actually could have been walled by this villager for mana if he wants to. Here's the thing about B's Yuumi play. It seems silly because you'd expect Arbitraire. That's the most logical process now for French, is Arbitraire gradually wins game. Because they count him out Samurai, crossbows is kind of king at the moment in the meta, and Japanese don't have a crossbow. But he's building spears. This is actually enabling B's strategy. You can tell these two clearly still practice together, right? Because it reeks of, we've played this out and this is what we concluded. And it's almost like B is then just trying to go a step ahead. Anno is now switching into the Arbitraire though. Yuumi do not trade well against Arbitraire because Arbitraire can stand their ground with Pavis. Pavis gives them 5 extra ranged armor and Yuumi are low base damage archers. Like look, this is a veteran unit hitting for 6 base damage. That's not great. Reminder that like a feudal archer hits a 5. The good news for B is, obviously he does have the option to go Onimusha instead. Bad news is Onimusha don't feel that great into Arbitraire either. Like, most of your options don't feel good into Arbitraire. I'm trying to think if there is a Civ in the game that is more hard counted by Arbitraire than Japanese, and I'm coming up dry. Because remember, that's the crossbow unit for the French, but it also has some unique perks, right? So it has the Pavis drop, which gives it 5 ranged armor and extra range. The other big deal is if you go, for example, Onobugisha for the Japanese, which is the light, fast attacking infantry, Gambuson's ruins you. You just tickle. It's actually ridiculous. And it's kind of funny because at first, when Japanese started to appear against French on ladder, Japanese were heavily favored because Mounted Samurai beat Mass Knights. But as players have got better at just switching into ranged crossbows as French, they've realized very quickly that Japan are the ones in trouble. They're the ones that have to do something big. B, it's kind of lacking on food. He just saw the deer on the back. Deer on the forward as well. Remember though, this is one of the tricky things about going Koka. Your alternative the Kura does give you farms for free, which means your food transition is easier. And food transition is kind of key if you want to go for anything other than Yuumi. We'll scare him away. Villagers. Oh, not being touched. What a nice guy. Wonder if Anno just comes out for the... Ooh. Okay, he's going for the relic. Definitely worth sending a villager out at this stage. Just inflate your fishing more, right? Another thing that puts B on the clock here is that Anatan went for the Guildhall. Reminder, the Guildhall is going to scale resources over the minutes, right? It's basically just like having a savings account. You have more in there, you save more, you make more. So, if B goes too long without getting any advantage here, Anatan is just going to pull the resources and immediately go to the next stage. Knights on the back, able to do some damage. And the fools have come in. Okay, so Anno should be able to get 2 of these relics. The Shinto was too late, he gets the bad news. B does have enough Mounted Samurai to burn through the wall, but if he doesn't realize quick enough, he'll get backstabbed by the Arbitraires. All right, ones if you think Anatan's going to win. Twos if you think B's going to take it. Crossbow start step is good. I think B's combo needs to be a bit tighter on his formation there. Jumped the gun, moved away too much. Oh, and freeze if you think the EA need to hurry up and make that Red Alert 2 remaster. God damn, I want that game so badly. Okay, I'm gonna say someone that's either gonna get an immediate follow out you or you're gonna leave the stream forever. I think Generals is overrated. Red Alert 2 is better. It's not that Generals is a bad game, I just think Red Alert 2 is that good. Like, how do you beat mind-controlled squids? With a bigger mind-control squid, I guess. So we have Onimusha now from B. This is getting worrisome. We talked about how Arbitrary wins. So what's B's way out? He has got Sacred Sites. He got 3 relics in the end. Doesn't have fishing. Doesn't need to set up farms. He's gradually getting there. He has gone for the Yorishiro drop to make his TC faster. So he's ensuring that actually Anatan doesn't get ahead on villages now. In fact, over time, B will be slightly ahead if they both play one town center. June 2000 was peak RTS. I'm gonna have to disagree with that. There aren't many RTSs that have done a good of a job with the story and the cutscenes as Red Alert 2. Dune Battle for... what was it? Emperor Battle for Doom was an interesting one. The 3D one with the sandworms. Wasn't that great, though. Total Annihilation is by far the most advanced RTS to ever release at the time it released. Total Annihilation was easily 10 years ahead of the RTS development cycle. They were doing things that wouldn't be happening until, like, Warcraft 3. Dive in here. Anasan didn't get the walls up. The panic over the scout. Oh, wait. Okay, so it's just you. I think B isn't quite dead yet. It's worrisome. I mean, Anatan is going to have that pull soon. He's up to 1,400 food. He's got another dock in the center. He's scaling fishing. Imperial will happen in about the next 2 minutes for him. So B needs to be on it like a car bonnet and slamming it shut with Anatan's fingers still on the engine. Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth. I'm still not sure which one I liked more, 1 or 2. I felt 1 was better from the hero perspective, but 2 from the overall RTS mechanics. No? Alright. Let's see if this is controversial. The best campaign delivery still, collectively as a whole, in the age of franchise is still Mythology. 1s if you agree, 2s if you disagree. I've got to give it to him. Because I think, like, Age of Empires is very good at these historical battles, right? But it's very hard to character develop historical events. I'd love to see it done more. I think the Sons of Ascent campaign for Age of Empires 4 done a better job of, like, making you care about the story of the characters. Hello? Well, he kind of wishes he had his Buddhist monks to the damage buff right now. We do have a successful burn down the dock. Sacred Sight's timer is ticking, but Anatan's at that point, guys. The guild hall is waiting to be opened. It's a unique savings account that's been getting compound interest for the last 10 years at 10% savings. Anna is ready to go big. Wait. He pulled it out. Oh, no. Oh my god. I thought he still had it. Anatan, he already used the food. So if he loses this fight, he has no easy way out of this. Good pushback. It's just arbitrary left over. Horsemen have been laid in though. Smart read by B. He's got a lot of horsemen coming. Where did this man find the food? Out of nowhere. Without fishing, without Kura. B has found the food to vomit out the horsemen to try and break in. Problem is, Arbitrary still have a lot of melee armor. 8 of this damage being mitigated. And the Pavis is carrying this fight. The Yumi are doing nothing. He's pretty much chucking himself into a meat grind of the likes you've never seen since the Yuri's Revenge campaign playthrough. I'll tell you what, those Hollywooders were idiots. They just kept jumping in carelessly. Has to run away. Anatan might not have his age 4, but he stays alive. The classic run away and re-engage was too late. If he'd done it now, Yon, yeah, he just said it in the chat. Like, this is the problem. That extra armor made it impossible for Yumi to do anything in that engagement. They were hitting for, what, 1 damage? Maybe 1.5. Horsemen are coming in again. The question now is whether B can keep doing this, or if he's going to burn out on the food. I've got him shuffling to the backside. Yumi are going to need to retreat again. It's a struggle, man. Like, you've seen the military count. There's still just so many arbitrary behind this. B, we're sitting at, what, 16 farms? The reason he was able to get away with that is the ball play, the berry play, but that's all now exhausted. Both of them are at least off of water. But at the end, Anno still has a substantial amount of crossbows, and you now don't have the food to easily get the counter. Villagers here. Oh my god. We are committing mind, body, and soul in for this boar. It's a war over the boar. Neither one wants to have to go and add in 30 farms all of a sudden. They're both skimming it. 19 compared to, what was it, 15 for B. B does at least have that extra one way of the boars for the time being. We do have a berry stack right here that is juicy for the taking. Both players are going to want it. Look at this, Anno. Oh no. He's found the juice for a horseman push. He's also now back on the water. It's crazy that B hasn't just been annihilated after those opening plays. It's crazy he actually was on the verge of winning there, but now Anatan is creeping forward here. He will be able to back up. Problem is he able to break through? If you can't break through, it feels like this goes one way. I mean, the farm counts are getting up a bit, but until we're at 40 plus, you're not going to feel safe. He's only got 16. AoE 1 on MSN zone? Okay, so I didn't have internet as a kid that early. I got internet around when the PlayStation 3 came out. So, like, yeah, Rainbow Six, Vegas, my first shooter experience. Incredible game to this day. Very proud of my consistent top 10 on the ladders. I had MSN, I just didn't play AoE 1. That was before then. Guild Wars 1, absolutely go game. I still stand by that being one of the greatest MMOs ever released. Britain, third world country. Okay, Johan, some of us don't come from a fancy pants, like, very rich family. You know? We don't pop out of our mother's womb and she goes, you would be a Kaiser? Alright? Some of us come from a working class family. Jesus, I sound like I'm running for local politics, but I actually am from a working class family. I'm still shocked my parents bought me Nintendo 64 games when I was a kid. Those things were not cheap. I think if you adjusted for inflation nowadays, Nintendo 64 games were like £120. It's insane. This is insane. You got enough time to go back for it again. Red pass on the way. I mean, this would feel like GG if you let it go up. You have to stop it. He's diving in. The villagers! He pulls 30! Can he get through, though, is the real question. It looks like it. The front line's evaporating, but the Yuumi need to target this down. 75 health per villagers. It needs to start now if he wants to stop it. Horseman just not getting through the arbitrary quite quick enough here. More villagers are being pulled. Anatan refusing to be denied. And it looks like there's no hope for him stopping it. Red Palace up. Anno, with over a 20 eco lead now, is in the next stage. Be hunker down, son, because there's about to be a cold night in hell. Brutal situation now with switching to Mangoes. Mangoes that now aren't the solution, so you have to bypass into trebuchets to deal with this absolutely absurd landmark. Yes, you're seeing that correctly. If you shoot wood hard enough, you beat it. There's probably a dirty innuendo in there, but if your mind finds it, that's your fault. Horseman now riding out. He's going to maybe at least be able to stop the docks. Yeah, this was, by the way, you saw there, it's the first ever machine gun created in history, I think. This thing is pretty absurd, folks. It does enough damage that... Basically, ranged attacks aren't meant to be very good against buildings, but the Red Palace is. Not a machine gun, it's an autocannon. You know, everyone thinks it's like arbitrary in there. I just like to imagine that they're actually shooting giant darts. Just a guy with a very big lung capacity. On top of that thing, like... That's what we need. We need a Mayan Civ that basically has a rip-off the Red Palace where it's just guys with dart guns shooting. Actually, wait, how has no one ever... I don't think I've seen anyone mention the idea of just having dart, like blow dart guys. For Mayans or Aztecs. Oh, that's what we need. I think that is what's missing, folks. I know, now with Sacred Site's locked in. I mean, what is the way out now for B? This kind of looks a little bit hard stuck. I've got Trebs moving up. He's eating into the Red Pass, right? It takes so much time though. Wait, what? He's actually diving it. This is insane. This is taboo. You just don't do this. This thing will Gatling gun down an army. Okay, so he bypasses. It looks like he wants the decap to buy time. But his food income isn't great. And the Treb's left unguarded. Oh, he might get the decap. He's left himself substantially weaker for it. He needs damage. Horseman, break through the wall. He's diving into the base here. Anno will not have the mirrored move, but he will see this coming. Remember, if you thought the Red Pass was strong, the TCs also get these type of attacks in them. Hence why the Horsemen are dying so quick. Second wave coming in, but unfortunately there are spears there waiting. Elite upgrade coming in for them too. Arbitrary already golden hatted themselves. The damage is stacked. You heard it right there, guys. Kazuyohan saying Red Palace is just whack. This is coming from a Paradox developer. They made French OP in their game, but by their standards even, this thing is out of control. Bloody strong landmark. Horseman raid. I know, not able to trap him on both sides. I mean, he's at least clawing back the villager deficit, but we still don't see B's plan to get to age 4. Feels like the fatigue of this game state is starting to lean in, right? Not the fatigue of the player, it's just more Japanese at this stage feel probably the weakest. They have a little bit of a re-vomit when they reach Imperial with a lot of gold, but he doesn't have a lot of gold in reserve. He doesn't have the Imperial Age. There's a window of hand cannons that can usually feel pretty good. It's just so difficult to reach these days. And this feels doomed. But we counter the arbitrary. No, you really don't. The mangonels aren't clearing it quick enough either. Spearman now having to commit in. This is his final stand, surely. Yumi going to try from the side. Mangonels being dove onto. The repair crew is trying to do their best. But their best just doesn't feel good enough here. So Anatan is going to speedrun our Twitch front page day. Outrageous. Only a 6-hour day of games. GG's. Anachad looking on peak form. Marine Lord was sitting in the crowd taking notes. He's going to try to use these against him on the weekend. But from what I've been seeing out of Anatan in this series, this lad looks brutally unstoppable. And he could have everyone quaking in their boots. What do you guys reckon? Predicky's in. You know, like, what do you think are we going to see here? Is Anatan finally going to do it? Not just winning the midweek Masters upon his return, after being ill, by the way, but then maybe follow up with an S-tier tournament. I mean, once upon a time, it would have sounded crazy, far-fetched, impossible, but the man we're seeing right now has never looked so powerful, and I look forward to seeing him in the next chapter.